Arendal Sound. Not many people have heard about them. They're based out of Norway and this is their flagship line of speakers, the 1723. Now, people who own them swear by them and I've had them for a little while now, so what do I think? Well, this is the review. Stick around. Hey guys, it's the Villaman here, home theater enthusiast and lover of all things tech. Now on this channel, we do home theater audio and video reviews, demos and comparisons. So if you're new here and you're into that, then you should definitely hit the subscribe button and come along for the ride. Now, these speakers you see here are the Arendal Sound 1723 line. They're flagship speakers from the Norwegian company, which are based in Arendal, Norway. What I have here are the 1723 towers and the 1723 center channel monitor speakers, as well as two 73S surrounds in the back. The 1723S is the smaller version with 6.5 inch woofers as opposed to the 8 inch woofers found in the regular 1723 line. Before I even dive too deep into this review, there's one thing I want this review to convey, and that's just how effortless these speakers make everything seem. But to understand why that is and just exactly what that means, let's first get into the specs so that those of you who don't know what these speakers are all about can find out. The towers have a 1.1 inch synthetic soft dome tweeter, which is recessed in a custom aluminum waveguide. It has 4 8-inch bass and mid-bass drivers, a complicated custom crossover network that plays the two lower bass drivers in tandem with the mid-bass drivers below 120 Hz for a fuller bass response and a really balanced blended response throughout the frequency range. The frequency response is 34 Hz to 20 kHz with 2 ports open, while in sealed mode is 55 Hz to 20 kHz. It's a 3-ported tower made from a really high bill of materials like high density fiberboard, dual rhodium plated copper binding posts for bi-amping, cones made from long fiber pulp, and a finish made from 12 layers of paint that makes it look like it's coated in enamel. There are some really good looking speakers which are really striking when you first see them. The high quality materials go all the way down to the chamfered carpet spikes or the solid feet for tile or hardwood floors. I dare you to find one bit of plastic on them. I have the towers paired with the 1723 center channel monitor. It has the same build quality as the towers and the frequency response of 34 Hz to 20 kHz plus or minus 3 dB, a sensitivity rating of 89 dB and a 4 ohm impedance. It has the same 1.1 inch soft dome tweeter as well as the same 8 inch drivers found in the towers. I also have the 1723S surround speakers, which has a smaller 6.5 inch driver like the entire S line. They are a sealed triaxial design, so they have an additional speaker on each side for sound dispersion. I disabled that functionality though, because even though it's fine in a traditional 5.1 setup, it's actually not recommended for Dolby Atmos config. The entire line shares the same tweeter design, so they'll be voice matched if you mix and match like I did. Oh, and they're all THX certified too. So let's get down to the good stuff now. How do these beauties actually sound? Well, for some background, they're being driven by my Denon X4300H receiver and being powered by the Parasound A52 Plus power amplifier, which since these are a 4 ohm load, it delivers 350 watts into 2 channel driven and 255 watts into 5 channels driven. I have a playlist of songs I play when I'm testing speakers, and if you've seen the music demo, then you'll be able to hear some of them. But that's not 100% translatable over YouTube because of course of compression and my recording devices, but I can tell you by having these speakers in my room that listening to 2-channel music is an absolutely phenomenal experience. Vocals are not only clear and detailed, but come across extremely convincing. I always kind of think it's cliche when someone says that speakers make it seem like the singer is right there in front of you, but I don't think there's really any better way to describe how detailed of a soundstage these speakers create. Adele is one of my favorite singers, and her first 2 albums, 19 and 21, are 2 of my favorite albums of all time, and she sounds as good as I have ever heard. The speakers just disappear behind the detailed soundstage they create. Hearing the instruments percussing across the front stage while having the vocals dead center is an absolutely great experience. I characterize the top-end sound as being neutral with just a hint of forwardness. The tweeters are clear without being bright, they're detailed without being harsh, and smooth without being overly warm. The low end of the spectrum is where these bad boys can really get the party started. In the music demo, I said no sub was necessary, and I was not joking. You'd think that with 4 8-inch woofers, they would be bass heavy or have bass that's overpowering, but that could not be further from the case. No, instead it has a really refined and full sound, but when you turn the volume up, that's when you can actually feel the tactile bass response when instruments like kick drums or 808s come on. And speaking of turning up, even when I pushed them to reference volume, it had so much authority and presence with not one bit of distortion. It just made it seem effortless. When it comes to movies, it was more of the same. I set the front stage to large in the receiver, so that means they were running at full range. I did that so I could fully test the dynamic range of the speakers. That's how much of the high and low frequencies it could reproduce when playing said movies. I did most of these tests without the sub enabled so I could get some appreciation for how the Arendal sound unassisted. One of my favorite go-to test scenes is the race scene in Ready Player One. I like it because that scene is very chaotic with a lot happening on screen and even more through the speakers. There are so many explosions, crashes, destruction, screams, sound effects, you name it. And with so much going on, there is a wide range of sounds that the speakers have to recreate, from the high range corn collection effects to the cars smashing through crates and dinosaurs stomping through the streets, and the speakers were incredible. The center monitor maintained dialogue clarity and detail in addition to its fair share of these effects, which, like the towers, remained unfazed. Overall, the bass was pronounced and hits harder than you think. Granted, it isn't enough to replace a dedicated sub, mind you, because let's be real, a speaker won't replace a large dedicated subwoofer. Even with the volume close to reference, there was not a hint of distortion, and the bass was tactile and hit harder than any speaker I've heard so far. And yes, that includes the Klipsch RP8000Fs. Another scene I like using is the Las Vegas scene of Blade Runner 2049 to test dynamic shifts. The scene goes from quite sneaking to multiple impactful trip mine explosions being set off in very quick succession, and the speakers handled it extremely well. The Parasound A52 Plus power amplifier certainly helped with that, since the lower ranges of the frequency needs more power to accurately reproduce and also to prevent distortion, especially at higher volumes. Surround sound panning was very cohesive and fluid, though the 1723S surrounds didn't have quite the same range as the other larger ported speakers, which is to be expected. I had them crossed over at 60 Hz, and not once during all my usage and all the movies I watched did I feel like they were being pushed harder than they could manage. So to wrap this all up, how would I summarize these speakers and who are they for? Well, I'd say they are truly reference quality speakers that provide faithful reproduction of both movies and music and just makes it seem effortless while doing it. If you have a medium to large size room, these would be a really great choice. Even though they are certainly not cheap, I think you truly get what you pay for. In fact, if you're in the US and you want to purchase them, then you can visit the link in the description, because Arendal Sound is a direct-to-consumer company, so you won't find these speakers in Best Buy, for instance. At the time of this video, they haven't launched their US site yet, but it's coming soon. But until then, this is the US pricing. So what are your thoughts on these speakers? Do you have them? Are they on your shopping list or your wish list? Let me know in the comments. I know which of my list it's on. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel for more audio and video reviews like this one. Until next time, this has been your friendly neighborhood Villaman saying thanks for watching. Stay safe. Peace.